my jaw and my nose.
Wow.
But I got lucky.
Yeah, you're alive.
Oh, yeah.
You're alive, and yeah. So what happened after that? So you have the accident, and then, what happened next?
So I have no memory of the accident or even the day before, but it was in Salem in Oregon, and there's a trauma hospital in Salem. So then I guess the ambulance took me to Salem trauma, and I think they intubated me on the scene, and my Glasgow coma scale was a 3, which is the worst.
Okay.
And then I went to Salem, and I was there for 3.5 weeks, and I have no memory of it at all.
Yeah.
And then I was transferred to an inpatient rehab in Portland, and my first memory is being in the medical transport to there. And then I stayed at rehab for, I think, 3.5 weeks too.
Yeah. That
So it was a pretty quick.
I was just going to say that. Does that sound familiar, Shane?
Oh, yeah.
Not being able to remember things until.
I could remember most of it. Like, I can remember the fight I got in and the, like, when I woke up from the coma. So I can remember most of my my brain injury.
That's crazy. I don't know if I would. I don't know. I've always wondered that. Like, is it better to be able to remember or just not remember?
I think it's definitely better to remember for me because, like,
he knows not to be an idiot again and
the
go
lessons I learned.
Yeah. Knock somebody's door down and pick a fight. Yeah.
That's very true. Very different situation.
Different situation.
Yeah.
Would you ever ride again?
No, I won't ride again. It was my life, but I'm bad with numbers. But 4 years before I got my brain injury, I broke my back riding my dirt bike.
Oh wow!
And in that accident, I was life flighted.
That's a close call, also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. I was life flighted, and I broke my back in multiple spots and had a concussion. But from that accident, I learned not to drink alcohol and ride. So I never drank alcohol and rode again.
Yeah.
Because I was totally drinking that day. So I was like, well, that was dumb. So I changed the way I rode, bought all the protective gear. I won't ride now because I don't want to, because I have no desire to, because I feel dizzy and all weird all the time. But my husband and I had only been married for 10 months when I got in my accident. And he said he would leave me if I rode still. And then my best friend, one of my best friends is a neuropsychologist. And she was like, I won't talk to you if you ride again. So a ton of people were like, we can't be in your life if you're going to choose to do that. And then all that I put my son through, I'm like, I can't do that to him either, or my parents. So no more riding.
Yep. It seems like there's a different purpose in life, and it seems like family and friends have fulfilled that purpose instead of the writing.
Exactly. And I did it for long enough. I'll be 40 this year, and I've rode since I was like 3.
Yeah.
And I've traveled all over riding. So I'm like, I've gotten to experience a lot. So I feel okay with giving it up.
So I want to ask you how your traumatic brain injury has affected things like your personality. Is that any different?
I don't know. I see this a lot. Like, people are like, oh, you're a whole new person afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think I'm the same person. I think that it slowed me down a lot. Like, I was very go, go, go before, and I don't have the energy to be like that. So I think it's definitely slowed me down. I'm not as outgoing. I used to be super outgoing, and now I'm not outgoing. And it just really slowed me down and showed me to constantly not be in search of like the next thing.
And it also taught you empathy. Because you could understand what your son was going through, you know?
Yeah. Well, for that, and then like with this whole online school thing, like it gives me empathy for people that aren't super educated or don't speak English as a first language or have any kind of like low health literacy, because I couldn't do it. And I'm like, here I am with a college education and I can't figure it out. Like, I'm lucky to have that. So I can't imagine if you really don't have those opportunities and like experiences,
right,
how to deal with it all.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You start a podcast.
That's what Shane did. And I am happy and grateful and honored to be a part of it with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you talked a little bit about how your personality itself didn't really change, but kind of your outgoingness, how fast paced you were. So what are some of the good things that have come out of it? What's, the good parts about the new you?
Well, can you teach others?
I think just being more like mindful and just more present. Like before I was always go, go, go. Like now I can be present instead of catching the next race or the next best thing. I'm able to I went to the park with my dad and my son the other day. Like I would have never done that before because it was his baseball time with his coach. But I went just to go because I'm here and I wanted to spend time with my dad and watch my son. And I would have been too busy to do that before, which is sad. I'm like, oh, that's not very nice of me, but it's just how my life was.
Can you kind of go over your daily routines? Because I think that people that have suffered a brain injury or any type of trauma have interesting routines.
I think that I understand my son a little more now too, because he's very rigid in his routine. Like if he's at my house and it's his dad's day, like he wants to go to his dad's because he wants like his routine. And I notice I'm the same way. Like I wake up every day and do the same thing. I do my gratitude in the morning. I go over my day in my planners. I have a phone calendar and a hard calendar, and it's all mapped out what needs to be done in the day. And then depending on how I feel that day, I will get some form of exercise, either go for a walk or a run or do my Peloton. And then I try to do one thing a day for my husband. Since I can't do as much as I used to, I try to do one thing a day so I feel that I am contributing. Yeah. Even if it's like load the dishwasher, at least I did the dishes.
Yeah. Did you?
And then I read.
Oh, I was just going to say, did you come up with this on your own? Is this something that someone introduced to you? This kind of a routine thing?
I think my routine before was get up at 5 a.m. or I had to work at 5 a.m. And before that, I worked out at 5 a.m. So my routine before was very structured of workout, race motocross. But I think after I got a DUI 3.5 years ago. And after that, I thought my life was over. So that's when I started the gratitude. I was like, I need to find the good in every day, because otherwise I think my life sucks right now. Yeah. So it's just kind of a habit I've kept. And then with brain injury, I'm like, oh, every day is hard. So I'm like, I still need to find the gratitude. Otherwise I'll start getting negative. Like, why did this happen? This sucks,
Sometimes I think about routines, I have to change mine up every so often just to be feel normal. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's some people that they need that change up, or it starts to feel boring.
Yeah.
I love the gratitude thing, especially in the times that we're going through right now. The whole world is going through. Our country's going through. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and I feel like focusing on what you can be grateful for and all of that can really, really help minimize the amount of stress that you get from the outside. And, it's great. We do that. My family, we practice that. Yeah. I've been doing that for years, and I really like that you mentioned that you do that.
Yeah, I love it, and I have to do it. And I'm very rigid on my schedule. Unlike you, if I don't do something in my scheduled way, then it throws my whole day off. Yeah, but I think I was like that before.
So that's just a character trait you had before.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's my personality, and now with brain injury, it just works. So I just do it.
It's great.
But I'm not good at like listening to myself, and I don't take a nap every day, and I should because I become a wreck if I don't.
So what, like, of all these little events that have happened in your life, from growing up and getting involved in drugs and stuff, to breaking your back, to going to college, what has stood out the most to you? Like, what do you think helped you define yourself?
I don't know. I don't think I could define myself until my 30s, honestly. Like, I didn't know who I was, and I was trying to figure it out, and it wasn't until my 30s I figured it out. And honestly, I think that's when I stopped drinking, is when I really figured out who I was, because I covered up who I was with alcohol. So I think that's when it kind of, I figured out who I was. And then I'm still learning every day.
Yeah,
we all are. Yeah. So how have you used those situations that Shane was just talking about, and how you've defined yourself as well, but how do you use those situations to better yourself?
I never give up. I try hard, and I accept whatever I've done or been through and learn from it. And I feel like I do learn from it, because everything I've done that's been bad or had a bad outcome, I've learned from and changed from it. And like breaking my back when I was drinking and riding, I never drank and rode again. Right. Then I got the DUI. I quit drinking. I never drank again. I was like, that's not worth it if I'm going to make stupid decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
And then with my brain injury, like my life would not be like it is now if I hadn't have worn all the protective gear that I had, because like my back was fine, even though it could have been hurt again, but I had a lot of protective gear on. Yeah,
that's always smart. I see these people that, like, we have sand dunes in Utah, and I always see people at the sand dunes like not wearing a helmet.
Well, because they think if they wreck on the sand, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, you can still break your back. You can still break your neck. I mean, like, there could be a rock sticking out somewhere in the sand, and you could... Oh, dude.
That's where I broke my back, was at the sand dunes.
Oh, yeah.
And I got knocked out, and it's dangerous on the sand dunes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate when I would see people without helmets on the dunes. I would see them. It makes me crazy, because I've been a helmet person my whole life. So I'm like, how can you do that? Like, it's just not worth the risk to not wear a helmet.
Just think how much worse your injury would have been if you didn't have a helmet.
Oh, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Even if I had just a cheap helmet, which is what bugs me too, is most girls I know that ride will go buy $100 helmet. And I'm like, but then they buy a $5,000 bike, and I'm like, invest in your brain, like, please. Like,
they want the speed, they want the power, they want everything the bike can offer. And so you're saying like a good helmet is like $600?
I think mine on sale was $400 or $500.
Oh man, gosh!
But they have ones with like the MIPS.
What's your other option? Like, you know?
A cheap $100 helmet that doesn't save you, and
Yep.
And I think it might save you, but I look at it as, would a $100 helmet have saved me like my expensive one did? And after I got in my accident, the girl that was with me went and bought a helmet with the MIPS in it, and then she got in a wreck and got a bad concussion. And she's like, thank God I went and bought that helmet.
Yeah, right.
Because she wouldn't have, except for she saw me.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that our even the things that we go through, other people can see it, and they can learn from our experiences as well, which is a great blessing in this life. Not all of us have to go through the same things in order to learn, and that's one of our goals here on IronWill, is to help other people see from all of the experiences of these people that we have on here, like yourself, Jessy, and they can take any type of life lesson and learn from that, so they don't have to go through the same thing. It's awesome.
Exactly. I'm a big helmet advocate, and then the hospital that I volunteer with, through Think First, and which is throughout the whole United States, but I go into classrooms and I just tell my story to teach kids about brain and spine safety and wearing helmets. Like please wear a helmet. Like I see kids in my neighborhood without a helmet on for riding their bike.
Yeah.